Welcome to BH Business Spotlight, where business stories come to life. Hosted by Kaylee Brokenshire and Alex Brown. A show that dives into the people behind the businesses, the ideas, the creativity, and the mindset behind building something truly different. And today, we're talking fashion, confidence, and a completely new way of thinking about style. Our guest is the founder of the Swish Shop, a business bringing a fresh approach to fashion through a unique circular model that allows people to swap clothing using a credit-based system. If you're interested in business, fashion, sustainability, and innovative ways that challenge traditional industries, you're going to love this episode. Please welcome Alice Nichol. Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the BH Business Spotlight podcast with me, Alex Brown.
And me, Kaylee Brokenshire. And we are today joined by Alice Nichol, award-winning personal stylist and founder of the Swish Shop. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me to be here. I'm so chuffed and honoured. Thank you so much.
I think we need to start with award-winning.
Yeah. That's something that I, still can't quite believe, to be quite honest with you. I've won awards as a personal stylist, which has been incredible because I think having been doing it now since 2019 as a sort of my own personal styling business, and we're 7 years? Yeah, we are, aren't we? 2026. It feels like such an achievement, but to get an award for the shop in the first year has been mind-blowing, like absolutely mind-blowing. And we're actually finalist for the Bournemouth Business Awards as well, which is just insane. You can't acknowledge sometimes what you've achieved. And I think we were talking about just now, previous to sort of signing on, so to speak. That's a bit of a weird word, but I think actually acknowledging your achievements is part of being a business owner and something you need to step into more often. So I'm going to say yes, thank you very much. I am an award.
Well done. You should be so proud of it. Well done.
I am. The Swish Shop was a really interesting something to start with because it hadn't really been done. I think when I launched it in February last year, according to sort of our research, it was still the only real dedicated women's wear clothes swap shop in the UK. There are a few more that have popped up since, but that was quite a unique mental thing to overcome because it was like, this is a completely new thing to trial. And as a personal stylist and working with women and seeing kind of what women need and where they struggle in their confidence and their style, it was, for me, a kind of a natural progression to take the clothes swap events that we'd started in 2023. My friend Lizzie McManus, who ran a ethical PR company called Warrior Agency, she approached me back in 2023 and said, do you know of anywhere that does a clothes swap event? And I said, not really, not in sort of Southbourne or the Bournemouth area that we were kind of based in. So she said to me, let's start one, let's just do it. And we're like, okay. So January 27th, 2023, we started, no, it was 2022. No, actually 2022. We started Swish It, which was just a pop-up clothes swap event where women could bring a number of items, pay an entry fee, and then they could take as many items as they wanted, so to speak. And it grew from there. And I think seeing those events and being a personal stylist and chatting to women, I mean, the events were fantastic. Like the environment and the buzz that happens when you've got women rummaging through things and chatting and sharing something and going, one friend might shout, this is great for you, across the room. And, some stranger might approach another woman and say, oh, that looks really lovely, and it was a real energy. And I wanted to recreate that in a more boutique, luxury, premium way, because I think retail is a space that's quite, in some respects, in a very sad position. What with online shopping, retail spaces are not what they used to be. Like, I talk to my customers so much about back in the day when, you'd meet your friends and you'd go into town and you'd have a wander around the shops and then you'd maybe get a little bit of lunch and then you'd, walk around with your shopping bags. And it was a real buzz to be walking around with your shopping bags and going home and doing a little show and tell for your mum and all that sort of stuff. And then you sort of progressed and you did that with your friends and it was how you caught up with your friends. And now with online, we've lost that connection. And that was what I could see with Swish It, was bringing back that connection. And so the shop was a kind of, right, okay, how can I take that connection and make it a permanent space? And then boom, the Swish Shop kind of came to fruition. And we've been open for February 26. So 25. Oh, I can't get my dates right today.
Had a year on each side.
Yeah. And it's been really, really fascinating, wonderful. I've been blown away by the support and the little community that's building already. You know, the idea of the Swish Shop is that you bring items, good quality items that you no longer wear, and you can get credits for them. So we only take sort of, mid to high end brands. The idea is that it's, a luxury brand boutique that that you're going to come and find something fabulous. But you can bring items that you no longer wear and you will get credit, and that credit equals an item in the shop. And you can kind of store your credits to get an item that you really want that might be like a higher tier up or, that sort of thing. But it allows you to rotate your wardrobe in a way that is sustainable, that's easy, that allows you to get rid of things, but know that you're going to be able to update it without necessarily having to spend a fortune. And like I said, it's sustainable, but it's also providing something that, in my opinion, doesn't really happen so much on the high street and in retail.
And fast fashion.
It's providing, hopefully, a bit of an antidote to fast fashion. And, and that's where the personal styling side of things, I think, has been a real asset to me to be able to launch the Swish Shop, because I have that insight both with my clients at the moment, doing wardrobe edits and seeing how women are struggling to find what they need, going to the regular brands on the high street, but still not feeling like it's really connecting with them, still not knowing what to look for, but then are bombarded with stuff on social media and don't know really still what works for them. To having that insight as a stylist, but also my background, I was in the retail industry for about 15 years as a visual merchandiser, designing store layouts for brands across Europe. So I know what women look for when they're shopping. I know how important it is when they walk into an environment that they feel comfortable, that they feel like they're not overwhelmed, that they feel like they can actually go and approach someone and say, I'm looking for this, like, can you help me? And that doesn't tend to happen.
It feels like you've almost taken that experience. You know what I mean? This isn't it, because like say, if you just shop online, there's no experience there.
No.
It's like people are just going, they're just filling their cart with anything, sending half of it back like a week later.
100%.
There's no, like you say, connection. There's no community. There's no that social side of it that you get with friends. How have you kind of found it, obviously, since having the shop and just seeing people come in and experience almost shopping again from a personal perspective?
Yeah.
Like we speak a lot on here about fulfillment and enjoyment within their business. Like, what does that give you?
Oh my God, Alex, like high as a kite.
Yeah.
Absolutely high as a kite. I think that's something that I feel almost guilty about because I love it that much and it nourishes me so much. I offer a little one-to-one Swish and Style service, which has been a new development this year that has come from sort of seeing how the shop works over last year. And when I have one of those one-to-ones with customers in the shop, I walk out and I might have taken any form of drug. I am high as a kite because it's a 1 hour kind of one stop. Like someone comes in and they'll just say, I'm looking for maybe an event or they need a little bit of a boost. And in that hour, I literally pick, up to 15, 20 items from the shop for them. And they're able to see what I can see about themselves. So I've got them in the mirror and I've got them putting something on and I'm like, look at how your shape looks in this. Like you're going towards this time and time again because that's your comfort zone. But actually, if you wear this and you see them, like when I do wardrobe edits and you pull random outfits together from their clothes that they've had for years, which they're, ready to get rid of and completely just abandon. And it's like watching someone come into bloom because their whole body language in front of the mirror changes. They're sort of a bit like, and then they just open out. And, I will come out of a wardrobe edit and I just feel like I've conquered the world because being able to make a difference to how someone feels in themselves is one of the most fulfilling things. And I think although being in a service-based industry and being a solopreneur in that sort of respect. It is challenging. Do you know what I mean? Running a business on your own is hard. And it's not been easy over the past 7 years, but when you have moments like that, it makes it all worth it.
Reminds you why you did it.
Yeah, 100%.
I can see how passionate you are about doing it, and it's so lovely to see.
Thank you.
How go back to why you started doing what you did with becoming a stylist to start with. What was your reasons behind getting into it?
It was really personal, actually. Like I said, I'd been in the industry for a long time and left because I kind of fell out of love with it. I fell out of love with the repetition. Fast fashion had really started to build momentum, and it wasn't for me. And I stepped out, and I actually retrained as an interior designer because when I was just before I left the industry, I was working for Ralph Lauren, doing their home stores across Europe and helping kind of design the store layouts for the outlets. And I was like, actually, I really like interiors. So I decided rather than be in fashion, I would move into interior design. So I retrained. And I had my second child, my son, whilst I was freelancing as an interior designer. And I had hit rock bottom in terms of how I felt in myself. When I had my first child, my daughter, I was in the throes of my career at Ralph. And I had to go back to work when she was 9 months old. I'd got promoted in my maternity leave. Still to this day, I don't know how I managed to do that. But I got a promotion in my mat leave. And so I went back to work and I was having to travel. And I saw her one morning and one evening a week. So I was enjoying being able to be freelance with my son. But I missed an identity that I'd lost an identity. I didn't know who I was. I was looking in front of the mirror and just my body wasn't my own. My wardrobe wasn't my own. I had no purpose in my wardrobe. You know, it was just anything I wore had split up or, you know, like I was crawling along the floor, and it was just, I'd completely lost myself. And my friend, the interior designer I was working for, she's become a very good friend of mine. We actually were out in between clients and we went into a shop and I just started picking all these things for her. And I was like, go in the fitting room, you know. And she was like, whoa, where's this come from? And I said, because I'd not really embellished about my previous career, and I just sort of went, it's what I used to do. And I just got such a buzz from helping her. And what I'd also noticed is I was working for her 1 day a week. And on that one day, my mindset shifted. I approached my wardrobe with a different sense of purpose. So I was like, right, okay, I'm not going to wear jeans. I'm going to wear something that feels good. You know, I might put on a little pair of heels or, you know, I was only really going to work in a little office or at her house, but I had that incentive. I had that motivation to actually claim a little bit of back that was me, that wasn't mum and wife and cleaner and dog walker and all the other things. And combined with that, and then she said to me, like, you need to tap into this because this is something that you're clearly missing out on and other people are missing out on. So it started off just as me posting ridiculous videos of stuff. And then obviously we went into lockdown. So I think it was 2019, I decided to be a personal stylist. And in January 2020, I stood in front of a group of women and I actually said, hello, my name's Alice Nichol and I'm a personal stylist. And I was absolutely terrified. And I was unbelievably lucky that the group of women that I said that in front of are the most incredibly supportive group of women that I've ever met. So it was reassuring that they kind of scooped me up, and everything then went online, and I still didn't know what I was doing. But these women, you know, they helped me. We'd do a little online networking Zoom, and they were all sort of talking about how they were pivoting their businesses, and I would get off and I would just cry because I would be like, I don't know how to pivot. I don't know what to do. And I was doing these videos on Instagram, and I actually found some of them the other day of me kind of standing there talking about outfits I'd created from my wardrobe for lockdown. And I remember so clearly recording them and my son like trying to beat down the door to get to me at the same time. But it was interesting looking back at that, and kind of that's where it all started, was me just posting video. And it was so scary to do. And that was my way of pivoting, was to post something
But that was you stepping out of your comfort zone at the time.
Stepping out of my comfort zone, yeah. Exactly. And they sort of helped me, in this group of women, there was a graphic designer, there was a web, she helped me get a website. And then anything I did, they championed me. There was, one person helped me with the accounting, because no one really talks to you about all of that, No. So, and they really propped me up and kept me going. And then as we came through lockdown, I sort of started to find my feet. But I think, to be really honest with you, it's probably only been the past 2 or 3 years that I've really kind of felt like I found my confidence in believing that I can do what I do, and what I do is valuable. What I do helps women, and actually that I'm good at it. That's a really difficult thing to sit quietly with yourself and go, no, you can do this. Yeah. You're good at it. It was a really personal starting point, and I think maybe that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know
how it felt to feel not good in yourself.
Yeah.
And to see that transformation in yourself.
Yeah.
And now you get to see it in others as well, which is amazing.
Now I get to see it in others. And the change doesn't stop, and that's something that I say to my clients is I'm still a work in progress. I have days where I look at my wardrobe, I'm like, oh God, I'm wearing wide leg jeans and a top again. Like, let's change this up a bit, Alice, come on, and it's so easy to find yourself in that rut. So that's what I say to my clients, like, you constantly check in, just be kind to yourself. Yes, you're going to have days where you feel like shit and you don't want to wear something fancy. That's fine. Like, lean into that. But on the days where you've got an event, or, you come in to record a podcast maybe, or, you've got an event that you're meeting your partner at, or, something, take the opportunity to elevate and take that opportunity to go, no, I'm going to wear something a bit different today. Because you're doing yourself a favour by doing it, because I think it's very easy today we all work from home. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to stay in that
sit in a hoodie. Alex has a uniform.
I do. I literally wear black all the time, black t-shirts. Literally, this is a different black t-shirt.
Yes. But I guess it makes you feel comfortable with what you're wearing.
And that's what our comfort is. Probably, I'd say, the most used word I get with clients. Like, comfort is vital. Comfort is what we all want now. And where your comfort is, whatever that means, is personal to you, and it's how you can keep that comfort, and your identity is also your style identity. Do you know what I mean? And but it's finding, if you're happy and you want to wear that, and you want to wear what you want to wear, you wear it and you own it. Do you know what I mean? And that's part of the inner self-confidence as well.
When you said just then, in terms of that, for you, it's only really been the last 2 or 3 years where you're like, I'm good at this. Was there like a specific moment, whether it was feedback from a client or something that you saw? Because, we'll speak, we all know as business owners how difficult it is to give yourself credit for what you're doing and potentially the impact you're having. And because it's normal for us, right? We do it every single day, but everyone's got that moment where they're like, yeah, I'm actually pretty good at this.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
It was actually quite recent. It was only last year, and it took me... So when I opened the shop, like I said, I opened it on a kind of, I'm going to go for it. Like, let's just do this. And my friends joke that I think about things minimally. Like, I'll kind of go, right, I'm going to do that. Yeah, let's go. And I won't come up with all the different reasons why it won't work. I just go. And I launched the shop, and I kind of knew that it wasn't polished, it wasn't finished, but I wanted to get it out as a concept. And a few months later, I asked a group of friends, women that I knew in the area that I deeply respected and whose opinion I really valued and I thought was super cool. Like, I thought they were like, oh my God, if they like this, then this is a home run. Like, I'm fine. So I invited them to come to the shop, and I got some pizzas in, and I was like, right, ladies, I want you to just talk to me. I've got some ideas about what I want to do with the shop. Can we just, brainstorm and make it really relaxed, but I'd really like your opinion on this, this, and this. And we sat there, and just as a sort of a backdata to this, when I launched the shop, because I was a personal stylist and I had the shop. In my mind, they were two very separate things. So the Swish Shop was the Swish Shop. It wasn't me necessarily. It had its own individual logo. Like it was a vehicle. It was a retail space, and it wasn't me. You know, it was its own identity, its own thing. And we were sat there, and they all started talking, and like 2 or 3 of them just looked at me, and they were like, "You," and I said, "What do you mean you? What do you mean me?" and they said to me, you know, "You are what we want. You are what you stand for, your style, how you put things together, what you do with your customers, how you work with women, how you make them feel, how you approach your wardrobe is what we aspire to." And that's why we come to the shop. That's why we want to. And I sat there, and I kind of and because my personal styling brand was so connected to how I used to be in 2019, and that was where I still saw myself. I think a little bit was that sort of mum of 2 very small children, just starting out, not really knowing what she was doing. And in that moment, it hit me like an absolute sledgehammer that I'm actually someone now that people, and it still sticks in my throat a little bit, that people want to aspire to, want to know how to do what I do. And it blew me away. Like, and we sat there for a bit and we were talking, and I kind of wrote a few things down. And then, honestly, for about the next week, I had to sit with it. And I went and took myself on the beach and just sort of kind of looked out and had a swim and just walked up and down and was like, okay, this is where we're at. It blew my mind because these women were women that I aspired to. And they were looking at me and saying, no, you need to step into this because this is what we see in you. And it really,
It's lovely.
really blew my mind.
That's sick though, because like you say, I think that's really, it's almost like how obviously it started, but this is almost how it's like you lean into it that little bit more, because like you say, having it from people that you aspired to be, and then they say that to you, sometimes that can be like quite uncomfortable though. You know what I mean? Because you're like, actually, are they just saying that?
Yeah.
But then like you say, when you're actually in that moment, you're like, yeah.
And it's I think it was because it came out of nowhere. You know, like I said, the women that 2019, when I stood in front of that, and as I said, that group of women, there's a handful of them that they've become my kind of work mates. You know, they get it, and we connect and we chat, and they're always, you know, encouraging me and saying, go for it, you can do it. And then you've got your family, and you've got, you know, people that you kind of don't expect, but you know, they're paid up to give you support, you know. So the fact that it came, I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting them to say that to me. And it just sideswiped me. It was, you know, and I'm so grateful because they didn't have to say that.
No, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think your community that you have around you has, I think, accounting for a lot here, and for solopreneurs, you know, solo business owners out there.
Yeah.
If you don't have those people that are really cheerleading you and supporting you, that can really have an impact.
Incredibly.
You know, so if you've got those ones that really genuinely are supporting you and signposting you and helping you on your next journey, because it is a journey.
100%.
Owning a business is such a journey, and they're all on similar journeys too. So I think a message from what you've said there is finding your little tribe of people, isn't it?
Oh my God. Yes, it's so crucial. And the thing is that when I listen to other business owners talk on radios, on podcasts, and there's some people that are just born with that mindset of, I got this, I can do this, and they can just own it. But there's some of us that really struggle to step into that space and to feel confident with what they're doing. And, you know, running a business on your own or running a small business can get hard, as we said, and it can get lonely and it can get isolating, and it can a lot of the time be the reasons why you just want to walk away, you know. And one of the things that I always used to miss is the water cooler chat or the kitchen chat, you know, when you'd go and make yourself a cup of tea because you just couldn't deal with what you were doing with at work, and then you'd go and have some conversation about something completely, you know, what you watched on telly last night, and you'd kind of go back feeling a bit like, oh, and you don't get that. when you work for yourself. So to have that tribe of people that you can meet and co-work with, or, you know, that you can ring up and say, can I send you this? Because I'm all in my head about it. And they get it, and they'll come back and they'll do that because they know that you'll do the same for them. Networking was an absolute no-brainer for me in terms of recommending it to other business owners. If people are starting up, it saved me and it kept me going. And if I hadn't have joined that networking group when I started, I wouldn't be sat here in front of you now, genuinely.
What was the one part from networking that you remember where that was the key, where you're like, I need to do this more?
I think it was the support, and I think it was it kind of it challenges you to own it. You know, you have to do your little minute, and you have to do your kind of your introduction, and you have to capture people's attention in that time, and so you have to become really succinct, and you have to really understand what it is that you're trying to do and what it is that your goal is for your business, for your services, for all of that. Like, it really makes you focus, and it really makes you kind of have to physically write down on paper not only what you want to do and who you are, but that piece of paper is then going out and it's your identity. So I think that really is probably one of the biggest things in terms of just that moment of standing in front of those women and saying, hello, my name's Alice. Like, I remember the paper shaking like this. And also, you know, the opportunities that have come from that, the collaborations, the invitations to do, you know, events, and like it's there's a wealth of opportunity within networking. And I think it's also that if you are working on your own, it's an opportunity to get out.
Yeah. Connect with people.
Yeah, connect with people.
Yeah, we speak about it quite a lot, and I think it's one of those things people are like, I need to do it, but it's that, you know, I think going networking is one of the best like personal development things you can do.
Yeah.
Because like you say, you have to stand up, and you're actually, especially if your business is quite new, it's you saying that this is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just in your head, it's not just on your social media, it's not just written down in your journal or your diary. It's like, this is the thing, like who wants to come along with it?
Yeah. And I've also found that the level of networking I've done has reflected where I feel in my business at that time. So when I sort of feel like I'm having a bit of a regroup and I'm kind of, then I might pull back a little bit because I'm not quite confident enough to talk about what I'm doing. I'm sort of, you know, and it's really valuable exercise to test out some of your business stuff as well. Your new services, or, you know, like I said, I've got a few of them. I'm like, what do you think of this? I'm thinking of doing this, you know. But you know, bringing it back to the styling, it's an opportunity to wear something else.
There's always photographers at these networking events.
There is. Do you know what though? Being a stylist, one thing I noticed, I almost sometimes don't say it straight away, because when people say to you, what do you do? And you say personal stylist, and two things happen. Number one, they look me up and down. Number two, they take a slight step back and then adjust what they're wearing and suddenly feel
like they're being judged.
They're being judged.
And they'll say, "Oh, don't judge me." I'm like, I'm really not, you know. Like, so, as soon as I say that, then you can see them sort of think, "Oh no, she's gonna," and I really don't. Like, just hands. I don't. I really don't.
If we look back at like the stylist side of thing, obviously, you know, COVID's quite a marker for a lot of people in business. Obviously, starting the stylist like literally right before COVID. Do you almost see that as a blessing because you just had to figure it out because the world looked different? So from a social media perspective, it was like, well, there's nothing else I can do. Or it was a little bit like, actually, it was just the time to get through it. Because I knew out the other side there was an element I could obviously personal stylist, there is a face-to-face, you know what I mean, you need to be with the person. Yeah,
there was. I mean, I didn't really get the opportunity to do much of the online styling, which I know a lot of other personal stylists pivoted and did, because I think the other thing for me within COVID, aside from just starting my business, was the job that my husband does. He works within children's residential care, so it meant that he was having to work a lot. So I had an 18-month and a 5-year-old at home. And so my mental capacity was strained and was quite strained to focus on the business. But it gave me an outlet. Like, it gave me a kind of a bit of a purpose to sort of say to him, look, you're back, but now I'm going to go and
do my thing.
And I think being so isolated, you know, I do feel like if I can kind of get through that time and still keep going and still at the end of it come out, you know, I came out of COVID and I didn't really have a business. Like I could have quite easily have just said, no, I'm not going to do this. But I know, and it's really a little bit, I don't want to say woo, but I remember the night before I opened the shop, I was sat and I'd done it all up, and everything in the shop has come from either Facebook Marketplace, a Reclaim Yard, or my own kitchen table, actually. And I was sat there looking around and really proud of kind of what I'd achieved in terms of kitting it out and how it looked. And it was pitch dark outside, and where it is in Southbourne, it's right opposite the way out back. So there was loads of people in the bar, like having a few drinks, and I was just sat there at my desk the night before, kind of looking around, and it suddenly just sort of felt really calm, and I realised that everything in my life, my career, had brought me to this point. The point in COVID of like feeling like I couldn't, you know, what was the point of doing this? The fact that I kept going, the personal styling, the career in VM, the career in interior design, working with women, knowing what they need from, you know, their wardrobes, from their confidence, from their body shapes, from their colours. Then also having a passion for pre-loved since I was, I don't know, tiny, and shopping in charity shops since I was a teenager, and knowing that pre-loved side of the industry as well. It all came together, and it was really kind of like, wow, this is where I'm meant to be. This whole journey that you go on as a business owner, it leads you to a point where you're like, no, if you stick at it, this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah. I think this is it. You can always question a lot in business, but sometimes actually, like you say, there's an element where you can argue it's a bit woo, but I think for me, I massively believe things like happen for a reason. So actually, like sometimes having that, just that moment, but it's being okay with noticing that moment as well. Like you say, you've just like put together a shop, so it'd be easy to be just caught on the hamster wheel all the time, but actually just allowing yourself to be in that moment and looking back at where you've come and actually, okay, this is what it's meant to look like. Definitely.
And what I've learned since then is Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, like I have, in that moment, it was like, this is where it's all come to. And then it's like, right, what am I going to do with it? Where am I going to go? And my natural instinct is to run before I can walk in most things. But I am learning more to take a deep breath and to just go, okay, the right things will come, and just take one step in front of the other and keep going. And do you know what's really weird is this is slightly different, but in terms of, it is connected to business. One thing that also happened for me in lockdown, which has become massively significant in terms of my mindset, is like pretty much most of the country, I got into Couch to 5K during COVID because it was my only opportunity to actually get out of the house and have some time on my own. And by the end of it, I did the 5K. And by the time we came out of lockdown, I was actually doing 10K 3 times a week. And for someone that is just shy of 6 foot, has always been told that she isn't built to run, she's not athletic. My grandmother, bless her, love her dearly, but she told me that my legs were like tree trunks because they're thick, solid, sturdy and brown. So having always had a complex about my size, to be able to run 10K was a huge achievement. And then, you know, I've been injured various times through that, but I've always gone back to running because actually being able to do that when I always was told I couldn't, and that thing of just put one foot in front of the other, Alice, just put one foot in front of the other, just keep going, and the more you keep doing that, you will get further and your body will just keep doing it. And it has now become like my absolute go-to. If I'm feeling really like I just go, and I don't run 10K very much anymore, but I at least will take myself out for a bit. And I've actually tried to get my daughter into it recently because she's just started secondary school and she was getting really angsty as well. And I said, look, let's do this together, because when mummy feels a bit like everything's getting on top of her, I just take myself out. You don't ever need a gym membership. You can just put on a pair of trainers and run wherever you are. But it's a way to just that methodical kind of, and I sometimes think about work, sometimes I think about cooking, sometimes I think about, I listen to podcasts, but it's my opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think, but that mindset of just keep going has then massively impacted how I am in business, how I am in my professional world as well.
Yeah, I remember doing a post about that because I do some running as well, and I did a post. I was almost like, it's just stubborn. I was just too stubborn to quit. You know, but there's a huge show of like discipline though as well, because like you say, you've got the mindset element of it where your phone's away, or you might be listening to something, but you're not on it, you know, and you're just out wherever it is. And obviously we've got best scenery in the world, like running around here, but. Yeah, from a business owner perspective, it's so many traits overlap in terms of or fitness in general as well.
Definitely. I think because I've got a little armbandy thing, and I say to my daughter, because she gets it on her phone, because I was like, I've completed it, so you do it on you, because then you get the sense of achievement. So she goes on her phone and she picks the playlist, and then she'll start that week, and then I say to her, give me your phone, and I'll put it on my army thing, and I think it's genuinely one of the few times she doesn't have her phone on her. And it's a nice little time for us to sort of sometimes we'll argue, sometimes we'll have a chat about life, you know, sometimes we don't even run together, but it's something we're doing together. And I just think if I can get her to 5k, and even if she doesn't necessarily continue it from that moment, at least she's done it, and she knows that she can do it. And
she's felt the benefits of it as well.
Yeah, and she can maybe go back to it if she wants. And I've always, my husband and I, we actually met playing sport, and we're both been quite, not strict is the wrong word, but we've both advocated to our children that sport is a really good thing for your mental health, whether you want to be a business owner in yourself, or whether you just want, you know, you're just going to the workplace, whatever you want to do in life, it's really important. The endorphins or whatever, like my daughter also plays hockey, and she says it's her therapy, because she just goes in and I think bringing it back to sort of when you do sport, or when you do something that gives you that endorphin buzz, how you can bring that into your professional life is so important. That sense of achievement, that sense of persevering, learning something, a new skill, a new way to, I don't know, but just having that ability to apply yourself to do something. I think for me, like I said, with running, I always come back to that. You know, I did that, Alice. If you can run 10k, you can damn well do this, newsletter or post.
It's the principle
it is
the one step forward each time, isn't it? You might slow down, your steps might slow down, but you keep moving forward. Also, let's just not brush past the fact that you are navigating motherhood as well with all of this, running a business and everything. So you've started off when your kids were 18 months and 5, and now they're starting secondary school. So
Buddy was 9 months old, and I remember going to the Dorset Growth Hub and speaking to one of the business advisors there, and then she said to me, how old are your kids? I said 5 and 9 months, and she went, good luck.
I hear that a lot too.
Okay. And it was like, what am I doing? But it has its rewards. Like, it is challenging, and there's moments that I'm probably not proud of, where I've maybe been a bit short with them or sacrificed time with them because I have to get something done. But there's been moments where, you know, I did a school trip with my son, and we were on the school bus, and the bus went past my shop. And he screamed, there's my mum's shop, and was like pointing at the window, so cool. You know. And the same with my daughter. She said, when I launched at the launch part, when I had the launch party, she actually stood up and she said something. And then she turned to me and she said, Mummy, when I take over the business, you're going to need to sort out your style if you're going to work for me. And it just, like, I think there's really challenging moments of being a mum who is working for herself. But those moments that, particularly my daughter, and even my son actually, that can see me building something, and having the shop was a game changer, because that's tangible. Like, they can see something physical that mummy has built. And when I'm working from home sometimes, and they're like, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, guys, I'm actually working. Like, Daddy goes to work, and your mind, that's him out working. I may be sat here, but I'm still, like, it's hard for them, bless them. They can't make that, and then it makes it harder for you, because the guilt. And I talk to so many, not only clients but also fellow, you know, business owners that I meet. The challenge is really difficult about how to keep your own emotions in check and your mental health in a good place, where you're not beating yourself with this stick of I'm failing at that and I'm failing at this and I'm not doing anything, and you know it's a roller coaster and you have to be kind to yourself along it, definitely.
I resonate with that because I feel myself snapping at my young children at times because my brain is also thinking about what I need to do for some clients. It's
and they
it's
don't
tough,
understand
the juggle. No, it's tough.
They don't see that.
So pat yourself on the back even more so because it is not easy.
Well, you too.
Both do it.
Yeah. Physical pat on the back.
I love the concept of the Swish Shop, and the
Thank you.
swapping is, it's a really good concept. Something that obviously isn't around here, the swapping element. So with that, have you struggled with, seasonal things, items coming in to guarantee a flow of what you picture? Obviously, you don't know what's going to come in. How does it work from?
Do you know, I've never been asked that question. That's really interesting. I get clothes brought to me seasonality wise all through the year. So at the moment, because people have been sorting through their summer wardrobes, I'm getting the winter pieces because they're clearing through their winter, putting their summer out, and they're like, I don't need this. So I'm like, I've got loads of coats.
That's now got to sit in the storeroom for 6 months.
Yeah. So and I really do want to make the shop move in the same way that the retail industry does. So I'll do drops. I went into spring, and at the end of this month I've got some high summer stuff, so that will start to move in. And I do curate the pieces that go out. So at the moment I actually moved the shop around yesterday, and I've got kind of colour stories that sort of sit in line with sort of trends that are going on at the moment, and I do videos to sort of link in what I've got with what the trends are on the high street. It's not always going to be an exact replica of what's going on, but that's not the point. The point is that people are interpreting these pieces for their own style anyway. So it's about showing that there is relevance within Pre-Loved, and I've got a storage unit out the back that I'm keeping back the winter stuff, and then kind of as we move to mid-September, October, I'll start to bring in the winter pieces, the autumn pieces, and then we'll move into winter, and then I have a little Christmas party and I put all the sequins out, because I tell you what, that's been a real game changer for a lot of people, is the Christmas party wear, because
Wear it once.
you wear it once.
Yeah.
And sequins are one of the most, that in terms of sustainability and production, they are awful for the environment. And there's amazing companies like Sequin Sisterhood, to local women who are making sequin bags out of unused sequin fabric. And there's lots of other businesses that are popping up that are using sequins because they can't biodegrade. Mm-hmm. So rather than go to the shop and buy more sequins, I'm like, come to my shop, because I get so many fabulous bits that you can just literally wear to your party and then bring back. And that's what's been really lovely, is that women are using it that way, which is what I wanted. The few of my regulars are kind of like, I've worn this now, been photographed in it. Now it's time to come back and for it to get moved on.
You are seeing the same pieces actually land back in your shop?
A couple of times, yeah. I have. I'll be going through them. I'm like, was that mine? And they're like, yeah, because I know everything in the shop, and I have a lovely lady called Shelley who helps out for me when I can't when I need cover at the shop, and I'll come in and I'll be like, that's new. That's new.
Came in on my day off.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is different. No. So I know everything in the shop, and that, I think that's what's lovely, is when people come in and they'll say, I'm looking for such and such, and I'm like, right, you need this, 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 and this. And that's the thing about Pre-Loved and charity shops, and even Vinted. I mean, there's 18 million users of Vinted in the UK now, and it's not. I started using Vinted in lockdown. And it was so much more user-friendly then because there wasn't the volume on there. Now you put in a pair of black trousers, and even if you put in COS, or a specific brand, and it will still come up with about 20 different ones. And the thing with Vinted is you don't know how it's going to fit. You can't try it on. Mm. So I get a lot of pieces come in the shop that people have bought on Vinted that are like, well, what am I going to do with this now? I can't sell it again. So it comes into me. And the quality of pieces is not there anymore, which is why I don't take certain brands. So, Supermarket, Primark, Matalan, that sort of thing. I and definitely Shein and Pretty Little Thing. I can tell if I'm doing a wardrobe edit, even from just picking up the hanger, if it's from one of those brands. And the pieces that come in, I'm kind of trying to make sure that they are going to be right for my customer, and that they're going to be able to try them on and see if they like it, and if it's going to work for them. And because when you do bring it back, actually, you said at the beginning when you were talking about online shopping, and one of the biggest things that I get told by my clients, and I see when I do edits and things like that in with online shopping, is if you see something on Instagram or even just online, your favourite brand sends you a newsletter and you're like, tap, and then you see the item and what have you, and you buy it. Now that delivery could come to you and you'd had a really pants day. It might not be the right time of the month for you, or you just really not in the mood. And then you try those pieces on in your wardrobe, in your bedroom, on your own, rubbish lighting, no one there to sort of say to you, yeah, but just try it like this. Or if you maybe if you've got a different size, and you put it on and you're like, well, and then you either forget to take it back, or you send it back and you basically feel so low in yourself because you've ordered these things and they haven't been right for you. And I hate that cycle. I really do. And I think Vinted is the pre-love version of that, is that people are getting these pieces, trying them on, and they may not fit. And let's be honest, sizes vary across brands drastically. I do personal shopping as well, and I went into M&S because locally, if a client of mine is looking for a new style of denim, they are a great place to start because you've got so many different ones. But I was picking up anything from a 10 to a 14, and my client sat generally around a 12. So, and in one instance, we actually went for a 16, and I gave it to her, and I was like, don't look at the number, because I know you're going to have a bit of a hang-up about that. And it's trying something on and then having someone to say to you, I think you should try this, or let me go and grab you another size. You naturally leave. Like when someone says to me, I don't like shopping, I'm like, you've never been shopping with me. Because I guarantee one of my clients hated it, and I actually covered the mirror. She'd go into the fitting room and I'm like, don't want you to look in the mirror. You come out and you talk to me first, and then I will let you show in the mirror. Because I want to make sure that because how we feel in our clothes impacts so much. How we feel in ourselves, how we are with our families, how we are with our friends, how we treat ourselves. You know, it's the thing that can prop us up, but it's also the thing that can make us feel like absolute shit. So the way I see it is that the Swish Shop is somewhere that you can come and feel nurtured, you can come and feel great, you can come and have someone find you something that's going to make you feel good. And you can also get rid of something that has been making you feel crap along the way.
And I think you will, it's not just, I'm not very good myself, if I'm honest, but it's not just about wearing something, is it? You know, wearing a t-shirt, it's actually how you style it. So whether you tuck it in with a high waist, that looks different with a different figure, to wearing it under, and you obviously are way more technical than me, as different body shapes and things like that, and colours, layering, adding accessories or jewellery. There's so much more to it than just wearing a t-shirt and trousers, isn't there? And I guess that isn't something that you get when it's just you in front of a mirror without somebody like you saying, if you just cinch it in here or do this, that, and the other. So I like the idea. And
the thing is, you can with AI, you can get a colour analysis done. And someone sent it to me and was like, is this going to be a problem for you? And I was like, no, because for some people it would be great. But I've had clients come in that have said, well, I've done this online, and then it turns out that they're completely different. And so that AI person might say to you, you are these colours, but they're not telling you how to take those colours and wear them. They're not telling you how to put them into your wardrobe, so you then are going to spend a fortune buying a whole new load of stuff. And that's that thing back to connection. You know, I think it's something that we as humans are really missing, that we had so much in our lives, and then since COVID and the progression of technology, we're getting further and further away from connection. We've talked about it with networking, we've talked about it with family. Like it's so important to sort of nourish ourselves with that connection, because it's how you stop yourself from becoming too, you know, in my opinion, it helps you from not becoming too withdrawn and critical of yourself.
I'm just conscious on time. If with people that are looking to start a bricks and mortar, I don't know if that's still how you describe it, if they're thinking about it, what's been the biggest thing you've learned since opening, and what would be your biggest piece of advice?
Okay, biggest thing I've learned since opening is keep showing up. Even on the days that you don't want to. Don't talk yourself out of not showing up. Just in some way, shape or form, show up. And what was the other bit? The second bit?
So yeah, your advice, and then what have you learned since opening the shop? Biggest lesson?
Biggest lesson is probably, as I said, Rome wasn't built in a day, and be patient. Because I want the shop to grow. I want the shop to be something that everyone knows about. And in order for that to happen, I've got to figure it out along the way. And it's not going to be a complete project. It's not going to be a complete package straight off the bat. You know, I'm constantly learning, constantly absorbing, constantly going, right, how can I bring that into it? How can I do that? And like I said, I want it to be the place where women can come and feel like it's a one-stop place first. You know, I need something, I'm going to go and see Alice at the shop. So I think it's just constantly absorbing and keeping eyes out and going, oh, yeah, okay, how can I bring that into it and keep it moving forward? That back to the running, one step in front of the other, just keep finding a way forward.
And I guess this is where your stylist side of things comes in as well, and it's morphed into being at the shop, and you can offer that service at the shop.
Yeah, that's also something I've
what's
learned.
Exciting that is maybe coming more.
Yeah, that's something that I think I've really learned as something unique to my business, is that they're not two separate things, let's be honest. I am the Swish Shop, the Swish Shop is me, and so I think trying to keep them as two separate things is not right. They are the personal styling. I do the personal styling and the colour analysis from the shop, so they're not separate. They're 100%.
They're one and the same.
Yeah, exactly.
With the Swish Shop, I hope you don't mind me asking, but the concept of swapping, so no money is exchanging hands, or do you sell the items too?
No, so you pay an admin fee.
Okay.
For every item you bring in and get credit for, there's an admin fee to do that, essentially. But then you've got those credits that will last, that you can pop in. It's not you get that credit, you have to use it straight away. You can get your credit and then pop
a lifetime
back.
or a timeline that you can...
and use your credit to get something else. You can buy an item as well. You can treat us like a pre-loved boutique. And I am going to be looking at how I can, not in a dress shop agency, I'm not a dress shop that will take a percentage or what have you, but I am looking at how I can offer something along that lines that allows me to sort of take stock off of people without necessarily them having to get a credit for every single piece they're giving me. But like I said, work in progress. Things are always moving forward. But yeah, the basic premise is you pay an admin fee to get your credits.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love that.
Thank you.
I wish you so much luck in
Thank you very much.
all of what's to come.
I know. It's exciting.
Come and visit you.
Please do.
Where can people find you?
So the Swish Shop is Seabourne Road, 167 Seabourne Road, just opposite the Way Out Back and the uniform shop. It depends who I'm talking to. In Southbourne in Bournemouth.
And social media?
Yes, there's the Swish Shop Instagram, but the Swish Stylist is the best one to come to, because that's a combination of everything that I'm talking about with my styling, but also everything on the shop as well. And then it's the swishshop.co.uk.
Amazing. Alice, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Alice.
It's been amazing.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, if you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.